You mentioned oil, cost of gas. The president is considering a federal gas tax holiday. This is something that Democrats House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is very conflicted on, thinks that the savings will not be passed on to the consumer. Are you confident? Well, is the president going first to invoke this?
So the president, he has said that he's thinking about it and a decision will be made soon. I mean, let's be clear, he has taken a series of very significant steps to deal with the crisis at the pump around the country. And we've seen, again, because of the crisis in Ukraine, we've seen that this has upended global oil markets. It's affected supply. It's also affected prices. And, you know, the president has done a number of things. We're releasing 1 million barrels of oil a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He has worked closely with allies around the world for them to also release barrels from their reserves. He's made it possible for gas stations around the country to sell gasoline that has a little bit more ethanol in it, so it's a little bit more cheaper at some stations around the country, so that helps. And, you know, of course, he sent this letter to oil refiners saying, hey, you all are making a lot of profits right now, and yet there's a gap, an historically large gap between the price that you are paying for that oil and the price that you are charging, you know, after you've refined it. And so he has asked Secretary Granholm at the Department of Energy to meet with the oil refiners and have a conversation about what they can do to get prices down. So these are all the things that he has done, and the gas tax is one of the ideas. I mean, there's only so much you can do when you have to buy a commodity that is priced on a global market. And that therein is the fundamental challenge, is that because we all use gas in our cars or in all sorts of things and oil, you know, we are victims of these global prices. And that's also why the president has been so focused on moving away from fossil fuels towards clean energy, where if we do it the right way, we can have more control over the supply of that energy over time.
Are you confident that if this federal gas tax is implemented, it's about 18 cents per gallon, that those savings will be transferred to consumers?
Well, what we've seen is that in states that have done a gas tax holiday, by and large, those savings have been passed on to consumers. Now, you're asking exactly the right question. It's one that certainly as an economist, I'd be very concerned about. Just because the tax goes down doesn't mean that the gas station needs to charge less. But one of the things about when you go and buy gas at the pump, it actually is the case that gas stations tend to price their gasoline competitively. So if I'm a gas station and I don't have to pay that tax and I lower my price, you're going to be under pressure to lower your prices as well. So I think there is some hope that we will see that pass through, but that's certainly, you know, one of the issues. The other issue, of course, is that because of the energy crisis, you know, we need to make sure that as we're thinking about these policies, we don't want them to further add to any of our challenges.